Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. I'm delighted that you've joined me. We have a lot in store for you, dozens of beautiful samples, and a great guest that you are just going to be delighted to spend some time with. Many of you have met her before, but today we have her all to ourselves for a whole hour. But first, I want to hear see some of these great comments. We had friends popping in from all over Michigan, NC Lawson up in sunny PA, and Retha Ranke in Wyoming. Always lovely to have you here, Retha. Kathy Colvin, my sister-in-law from sunny Minnesota. Sunny finally, they say up there. And then where's Marjorie Hirschberger? She's watching from Lancaster, where she says it's 85 degrees. And I think it's time for them to head to the Jersey Shore. So in that part of the country, right? But look at this lovely comment from Marianne Dottie. She said, hello from sunny Cocoa, Florida. She's happy to be here because she always learns something new and fantastic. Well, I can guarantee today you will learn something new and fantastic because my guest is Deborah Jones, who is my colleague here at Dime, my dear friend. We've been working together for, I hate to admit it, 20 years, but proud to be working together with Deborah Jones for 20 years. So let's bring in Deborah Jones. Hey, Deborah.
Hi, Eileen. It's great to be here. And, we're going to be talking about a subject that's near and dear to my heart and something that so many embroidery projects require.
Absolutely. And if you don't nail this part of embroidery, then, maybe your skills aren't up to par as they should be.
Well, I know you're going to be a much happier embroiderer when you're satisfied and proud of your lettering.
Absolutely. But, before we get started, we have a whole lot of business things to address. So let's do that first. And I see so many people are signing in, and we're thrilled that you're doing that. So continue to do that and know that, you can ask questions throughout the broadcast today, especially when there's two of us. It's so easy to answer those questions. And, it's not very often you get Deborah Jones all to yourself for like an hour. So what are we going to talk about? Like Deborah mentioned, all about lettering. And we're going to hit her top 10 tips or tricks for perfect lettering. But, through that, we're going to be talking about how to upgrade your messages with clever designs and mix fonts for unique looks, and then how to brighten applique fonts with cheery fabrics, right? It's all about
lots of different ways to create interest with your lettering.
Exactly. So, but as you know, we are part of the mega giveaway, the Dime mega giveaway. And this is the first week of the first winner. Last week, we announced this whole giveaway and we told you that you could enter every day, once a day. We're going to have 6 winners. And today, at the end of today's program, we're going to announce that winner. So how do you do it? Well, you go to our website, dzgns.com, and there's a banner right there at the top of the page that you can click to enter. And when you do, it takes you over to this page where you'll fill out the form. It gives you a countdown as to how many days to win left to the next drawing, but make sure that you can do it every day so you have a really great chance. This week is the first prize, which is our stable cut dispenser, the hoop mat, and 4 stabilizers. Now, Deborah, you are the stabilizer queen. You're the inventor, the writer, the creator of the compass. So when people have a stabilizer question, they go to this, right?
Well, yes, and I do sometimes too, because it may have been 3 or 4 years since I worked with a particular fabric. So I look to see what I had success with last time I worked with that fabric.
That's awesome. I know I refer to it all the time, and I should know all the answers also like you, but we don't, right? Time goes on and, we're busy people. So it's a great handy reference tool for everyone to have in their embroidery studio. So today's program is brought to you by Stable Cut Dispenser. We have a great price on that this week. It's only $22.99, and you get 2 of the boxes with that. And they have that sliding cutter that just makes storing and using your most often used stabilizers really easy and accessible, and keeps your sewing studio tidy, right?
Right. And, I have to throw in that it saves your scissors, because
Mm.
honestly, some of the stabilizers are a little abrasive to your scissors. So, and some are adhesive, right? So that slide cutter is a great feature.
Absolutely. And, if you're like me and your hooping area is what I call my hooping throne, right? It's a clear space in my sewing studio, and I have my hoop mat there, and it's right on top of where I store all my stabilizer. And I've cut more than one hoop mat in half or almost in half because I think, oh, this is a cutting mat. Well, now that I have the stable cut dispenser, I don't make that mistake anymore because I'm not using a rotary cutter to cut my stabilizer. So it's a good tool for sure. All right, let's get to your top 10 tricks. What do you think?
Okay, let's get started.
All right. So number one. Well, Deborah, I'm going to let you take over because you know what you're talking about.
Well, the great thing about using embroidery software, Eileen, to do your lettering, one of the great features is that you can go from micro to maxi. We may not be able to, even though we have great lettering built into our machines, and we may be able to do some really big ones, but we're limited on the styles. So one of the great things about software is we can go from micro to maxi and get great results because some of the fonts have to be specially digitized for these sizes, right, Eileen?
Absolutely. It's not something you can use a wizard for to get really professional results. And we, of course, use word art and stitches, right, Deborah? That's the
Right, and
program.
that's what we're talking about. Some of these examples we're showing today and Word Art and Stitches is a very robust lettering solution, but it lets you do things like go from micro to maxi in your lettering, as well as merge lettering with designs, make popular specialty lettering, which we've got some cool samples of to show you in just a bit, and the nice thing about it, because it does let you merge and resize and do some utility functions, it's an all-in-one software at a great price. So it lets you do many things, including great quality lettering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we move on, I thought I would just highlight this one comment that our friend said. She said, well, I can't find her name, but she said, I would faint if I cut my hoop mat. Oh, honey, don't
Well,
faint.
it looks a lot like a cutting mat because
It
of the
does.
grid. So, if any of you have done that, Ella, I know you didn't do it, but if you did it, you don't need to faint because it's just a cutting mat. We have more, right, Eileen?
Yep, and it's inexpensive, as you know. It's only
Yes.
19.99,
R-
I think.
r-
But if you do it, tape it together on the back. Use, some kind of tape to just seam the two
Yeah,
pieces
shipping tape
together.
would probably work, right?
Yeah, that would probably work. So you'll be fine. But I feel your pain, believe me. Okay, let's dig into micro text.
Okay, so the micro fonts that are in Word Art in Stitches has 11 keyboard fonts that are made specifically for very small lettering, and they include upper and lower case as well as the numbers and special characters. So it's full font functionality, which is sometimes hard to find in these specialty fonts, but as you can see in that example there, the 6 millimeter, which is a quarter inch, we go even smaller. So that is really rare to get crisp, readable text without a bunch of naughty looking things on the underside of our embroidery. And we're going to show you why this text looks so clean.
Absolutely.
So here's the secret. A regular font has overlaps. Like you see on that AB at the bottom, there's a number of overlaps. The crossbar at the top of the A, the crossbar at the center of the A and also on the B. That's where those little knots occur. And in addition to having special densities and letter width, also look at how these letters are constructed for microtext. There are no overlaps. They are made just to join precisely. Now, you might say, why does any font have overlaps then, right? Well, because a larger letter size would pull apart at those where those intersections occur if they didn't have some overlap. But the small text simply doesn't need it. So another thing we do, especially in the micro fonts, is we use a single run underlay. In other words, there's just a single running stitch going down the center of that A. That's all it needs. Doesn't need the zigzag, which really just looks messy in the very small text. So it's inappropriate. So if you are creating or downsizing text, use that single run underlay, which is automatic in our micro fonts.
It is. You don't have to, click on another button or tell the software what to do. It knows exactly what to do.
Right.
And actually, Deborah, we're just going to move on over to the multiple lines of text, because I think this is a great tip, something I hadn't really thought of.
Yes, a lot of times one of the things I love to do is make recipes or make poems in my software. So if we're doing that one line at a time, we're able to control where the hangy downs, which is a highly technical term that I use in place of the term extenders. Those are called extenders. But the little hangy downs, you don't want them to also coincide where a tall letter like a T is coming up from the next line. So I have learned through experience, even though I can type all the lines in my verse, I prefer to do them one at a time, because if I have to unch it over a couple of spaces, I can do that with entering one line at a time.
Great tip. I love that, Deborah. It just takes the frustration out of alignment and just, making it look pleasing.
Well, and you wouldn't want to get all finished and insert all that text and then find you have this issue, because it's much harder to correct after the fact. You may find yourself starting over. So just enter one line at a time. And also, Eileen, in the case of long lines of text, it lets you control the length of that line in case you need to adjust the lengths to be more uniform or more pleasing.
Yes, or fit in a specific space. So Joyce Leary says in calligraphy, they're called ascenders. And yes, we do refer to them as ascenders and descenders, right? Ascenders are the T.
And you are so right. See, so I got my technical term incorrect. So better for me to use hangy downs.
Hanging downs and push me ups, I guess. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. And so why don't your letters connect? Oh, I love this.
Yeah,
struggle with this.
Yeah, it's easy to, become perplexed about why you have to do so much, moving of the letters in this, software where lettering is made so easy, yet we still have to make a few adjustments. And the reason is that the programmers don't know what letters are going to be next to each other. So each one has its own little neighborhood, its own little box that it fits inside. And those can touch. And so here on the gosh, it's on the left side of my screen, you see that the A is not close enough to the end. But if you look to the right, you see that the boxes are touching. And that's the simple explanation for why we have to do that manual kerning.
And what you really want is software that gives you the ability to control that. If you can't control it, then you're stuck with, a big space between that capital A and the following letter N, which
Right. And the great thing about word art and stitches, Eileen, is that when you move that in,
Mhm.
everything behind it follows it.
Oh,
So I like to say that's a follow along feature. So we don't have to go move all of those characters.
all those individual letters. But you also have the freedom to do that if you so like to.
Very true.
Okay.
So maxi text is, the really big sizes. And of course, you can't do every alphabet really big because sometimes those stitches get too wide, even though we have ways to work with that too. But the large letters are tailor made for our big hoops,
Oh,
and
sorry.
we love those samples there because they show some of these dramatic examples of lettering we can create.
And I have one here, not the same as those pillows, but here is a pillow sham. I mean, here's my hand. Look how big those
Yes.
are.
And of course the uniqueness of that font, Eileen, is that those letters are more narrow, not only in letter width, but also just in the character size themselves.
Yes, and yet they feature flourishes, that little accents and scrolls that make it so attractive.
Right.
And what I also like about this font is it's vertical. It doesn't slant, so it looks beautiful, stacked up next to each other.
Right. And that is very important because, you know, you may not think about it, but not all alphabets are suitable for monograms.
Oh, absolutely not. But let's focus right now. We're going to show a whole bunch of them, but let's talk about the split monogram because this
Right.
is a
Right.
feature in the software that really gives you a lot of freedom.
Right. And split satins are are really a way that you can shorten that stitch length without making it into a fill stitch. In other words, instead of having a really obvious pattern in your lettering and a ton of stitches, you can reduce the stitch count and keep the look like a satin by using the split satin feature.
Yes. And so Joyce Leary has asked, is the word art program the one that does monograms? Absolutely. It does much more than monograms too. And we're, showing lots of samples that were all made in word art today. So you'll see that it does more than monograms, right?
Oh yeah, Joyce, I do my wedding hankies in it, which is one of my favorite things to do for fun and recipes. People do scriptures, all kind of things.
Absolutely. Okay, so that split satin. This
So in the split satin, you have choices. You can split it randomly, where the letters where the stitches are shortened, but they meet randomly in the center, which just gives it a very, still keeps that liquid satin look rather than the rigidity of a fill stitch. You can do it by percentage, which we're going to see in a moment, or by an absolute value, meaning you can program how long you want each stitch. But this next slide is going to show us a percentage value that I used.
But Deborah, let's not scare everybody, right? They actually don't even have to make this choice.
Right, because I believe the default is random.
Yeah, the software will just do it for you.
But you don't actually have to do anything. But when your stitches are too long, because the machine doesn't want to do anything longer than 10 millimeters, so it'll automatically divide that for you. You're right, Eileen.
Right. And so you don't have to be an expert digitizer, but this is the kind of software that grows with you. As your skills grow, then you'll be able to use more features that are in word art, which is awesome. So Marianne DeBlogla says WAS, that's what we all call word art in stitches, WAS, we call it WAS here. And she says it's a software that she can't live without. So you could do so much with it.
Well, I feel the same way, Marianne, because lettering is something I truly enjoy, and word art makes it gives you so many options that it's really the only lettering program that you need to use.
Right. Okay. So let's see. Here's your sample. This is a 10-inch monogram. Look how beautiful this is.
Yeah, that's a 10-inch monogram done in our Kingstar metallic thread. So those of you who've used Kingstar know how great it is. But if you look along the edges of that letter J, that's where you can see it most clearly. I used an 80% value on my split satin. And as you can see, what that did, it put 10% down each edge of the letter, which is a beautiful outlined appearance, and it makes my stitches in the center very liquid and not exceeding that 10 millimeter threshold. So I love the outlined effect, which you can get just by using that percentage. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. And of course, in the font that I showed earlier, let's just go ahead and take another look at that. It's actually a 2-color monogram. So we have that effect also. I could get the same look as Deborah by stitching that outline in the same color as the interior area. So, just because it's 2 colors doesn't mean you have to stitch it in 2 colors. Okay, and we did have some people asking some really particular questions about splitting monograms and so forth. And so, and then one of our team members said, we have a fantastic software success Facebook Live twice a month with Ashley Jones. And that's the kind of Facebook Live where you'll get those questions answered. So Deborah and I, we're not going to, go off the scheduled path here, right?
Yeah, there's so much to cover. So this is a really cool topic as well. Mixing fonts with embellishments to add interest, because you can really create some unique monograms and other personalizations with this technique, right, Eileen?
Yes, like here's some really fun stuff, right? The subway art.
And that's got a lot of mixed fonts. Mm-hmm. It's fun. That's a feature this is the word art feature in word art in Stitches. And it lets you just type in a bunch of words and it'll throw them into whatever shape you designate. So this is a fun feature that's, like Eileen has mentioned about the split satin, it's automatic. So
right. Here on the overhead, you'll see I have a cupcake stitched out. It's so much fun. Now, my outline is just a run stitch. And in the software, I have the option of including the run stitch or eliminating any stitch and just letting the words make the shape, or stitching that in a satin. So you have that choice. You can control the colors and the variety of colors. You can add more than, here we have 4 colors. You could make that 3, 1, 5, that's your choice. But you can, and once you make this, once the software creates this, you then have the ability to control each individual letter. And I think we have some, but we have a video on that, don't we, Deborah? Yeah, let's go ahead and watch that now.
Okay.
So in the software, you go to the shape box, and from the drop-down menu, you select a shape. In the text settings, this is where you add your words, and you can put as many words as you'd like or as few as you'd like. And then you have some other choices about the size that this will be. You can also change the orientation, which orthogonal is any direction. You can do just all horizontal, all vertical. And then there you have it. Just with those couple clicks, now you have filled that dress form with the words. And if you'd like, you can go into it, ungroup it, and then select each individual word and make changes as you see fit. It's fun and easy, right, Deborah?
Right, because, it's pretty automatic as well. So we we like that.
Yeah, we do like that for sure. We do like that. Okay. So let's see. Oh, and then these, I know Subway art. These are like your favorites, right, Deborah?
These are my favorite because
Mhm.
these really have that look that's been so popular for, a while now, where baby announcements and different things are created using a prepared template. So in Word Art and Stitches, you can click on any one of those elements you'll see here. You can just ungroup it, and then you can click on a word, like we're going to click on Maggie, and change it to another name. And it's just that easy. So you don't lose the design. You just replace it with your baby's name. And look, it's longer, but look how easy it is to make it fit right back in that square. Love this feature. It's so cool. So this way you can change the dates, and in reality, if you wanted to, you could even change that font. But I like the font choices. I usually just change the words and numbers where appropriate, and it's a ton of fun.
And the success of these templates, I think, Deborah, are the fonts that were selected. You have a script, you have a whimsical one, the one Hugs and Kisses, then you have kind of like Times, New York Times, and Roman, just solid Arial, no serifs. That's the combination that makes it successful, right?
Right. Look, we've mixed scripts, we've mixed casual block, we've mixed classic block. So they go together well. They were designed to look finished, and all you have to do is customize.
Right.
Here's another one. Now, this is going to show you several of the Subway templates that are in the software. So you can see lots of themes, from housewarming to wedding to sports to cancer survivors. It's really a nice, well-rounded selection. And Eileen, I know you stitched your own sample.
Yeah, I did. I made one for my husband. Poor guy, still just on fabric, but at some point it'll turn into something. Isn't that adorable, though?
Very cute.
Yeah, it speaks of what his likes are and what's important to him, and what his grandchildren look to him for his stories and his strength. And of course, he spoils them now and then and so forth. And he's a wise senior citizen, right, Deborah?
Yes, right. And of course, Eileen, you could create this in software, but it takes a while.
It does take a while. It does take a while. So it's just so handy to have all these fonts selected, laid out, and then you just go in and customize it as you see fit. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Really, very fun. Okay. So shape text. This is super. I just love this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Right. Now, this is just a crest that needs to be customized, and we're going to put some lettering in that arched banner at the bottom. And it's so visual and so easy. That's the great thing about graphically based software. So here we have the word Woodhaven, and just like I scrunched that word Catherine, we can just grab that handle and alter the arc of the circle, change the size, change the color, do the same thing with the year dates that are going to go in the wings of that banner, change the size, change the color, and add the other final one. So you can imagine, I know, Eileen, I have struggled with creations like this in the past until we had software that'll help us do it so easily. So and look, this, Eileen, we're going to talk about closest point lettering in a bit, but this one has closest point lettering. So if you look at those letters, the connections between the letters in Woodhaven, you know how most lettering joins at the baseline or the bottom. This is a great example of joining at the closest point to the next character, which, what does that eliminate, people? Trimming.
Trimming, trimming, right.
So, and this is a letter size where it works well. So you can't do it with all lettering, but sure does look good on this crest.
It does. And it also makes that jump stitch almost invisible. If it were at the baseline of Woodhaven, imagine the stitch between the W, the O, and the next O. It would be kind of be like a running line underneath.
It actually looks underlined.
Right. And so if you're particular about your embroidery, and many of us are, because we love what we do, you might spend time picking out those stitches. But if you do this closest point connection, then
and of course the key is that the font needs to be digitized that way.
Right.
So
here's a fun one.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is one of my favorite little cheerleader designs, and I love putting that. Megaphone's just begging for a name. So we put Carla in there, make it a little bigger size, rotate it to be the same angle as the megaphone, place it up next to the N, and stretch that word out. This is shaped lettering, right, Eileen?
Yep.
And
easy.
And once you do one of them, just type in the next name and it'll take on the same shape. So,
right. If you have to do the whole squad, the whole cheerleading squad, well, this is so simple to make that happen, right?
Yes. And I see, Teresa, it does work with virtually any machine format, including commercial formats, but certainly all of our popular home formats, PES, HUS, VIP, all of that.
Right. Now, Deborah, we've been resizing these letters quite a bit. And that's something that you normally don't do with machine embroidery designs. But because these letters and designs are in the native format of Word Art and Stitches, which is C2S, then you have the ability to stretch and shape and shrink if you're so desire, right?
Right. And that's really a lot of the fun of it because, I like to get to the machine quickly and start stitching. So it makes it nice when you can get those effects easily just by stretching, grabbing those handles and getting it shaped like you want.
Right. Now you're not going to stitch in the C2S font.
Correct. Yes, but it's what we're making these changes in. Correct.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Oh, well, we kind of pointed out the closest point connection, but here, Deborah will touch on this.
Yeah, it's just going to reduce your trimming in letters that are 1/2 inch size or smaller. And as we mentioned, if it did not connect, like that F and that O, where they're connected, that's really close. It just so happens that the O and the X, the closest point is at the bottom. But you can see in the H, between the H and the O and the L, where they connect. So these fonts are actually digitized 3 times. And the software is so smart, it analyzes that and picks the closest point. Really neat.
That's awesome. Okay. Pull compensation.
Pull compensation. The trick to making beautiful lettering for me is really pull compensation. And that's because a lot of fonts, you go to stitch them and they're just too narrow. Or what if they're too wide? It could be one or the other. So let's take a look at what pull compensation really is. What does that word mean in regard to lettering? So here's a nice font, like a Times Roman at 100%. It's pretty, but I'm going to put that on a towel. I want to chunk it up. So not only am I going to add some underlay, I'm going to go 130%, not of the length of the word, but the width of the legs of that character. And so that is what's going to make it sit up on top of that fabric and look more appropriate rather than, even if we use water soluble topping or a knockdown stitch, Eileen, sometimes you just need a chunkier letter. And here is a great way to use it as well. In Word Art and Stitches, you can apply that pull compensation not only to the built-in lettering, but to designs as well. So here I have a cute 1-year-old birthday design, and I've added pull compensation to it because it made my applique have more integrity. It's going to cover that fabric so much better than at 100%. So I can beef up, I can select that number 1 and the bunny and beef that up 130%, just like I can do with the lettering.
Very nice. So do we have a video here? I think
Yeah,
so.
that's probably what we're doing in this short video.
Okay.
So we selected it. We're choosing the pull compensation, and I like to use the percentage type with lettering. Here we're just changing it to 130%. And when we click apply, you see how it chunks that up? And it'll do the same on this week number 1.
Okay, so let's see. Marianne de Blagla is asking, if you chunk up a font, does it automatically add the pull compensation? Well, you chunk it up by adjusting that, right?
Right. You're adjusting the pull compensation, which means it's not pulling in as much. And the underlay is going to really be the chunked up as well, because it's going to be proportional to the stitching on top of it. Sure.
Okay.
But in Word Art, you have the option to change your underlay type if you want.
Right. Which is, okay, we've already seen this, so I'm just going to move on. Okay, special effect fonts. Wow, there's a lot of these, right?
Yeah, and some of our favorites are those applique fonts. Boy, hard to find applique fonts. Okay, you can find some applique alphabets out there, but these are built in and you can type them in just like any other text. Right. And they are so much fun because they include the uppercase, the lowercase, the numbers, and the special characters. Again, full font functionality, which I love. But what's really fun about these is the fabrics. But here, we'll just show you how they work. You choose the applique font, and we have several to choose from, but we're choosing here one of the balloon looking, it's called
Frank.
Yeah, there you go. And it will, we're just going to type in the word applique, and it puts them all in there rather than you having to place each letter, which is usually what we're faced with doing when we use an alphabet. Now, yes, they are digitized individually so that you can place your fabric. You could even use a different fabric for each letter, couldn't you, Eileen?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because it's going to stitch each one individually. So right. You have lots of options there.
And here I just chose a particular fabric, and it's going to fill it in and show what that would look like with that fabric color. So pretty fun, really fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Susan Flynn wants to know, does the applique font have SVG files? Well, yeah, I believe we can save everything as an SVG in the software, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, let's go look at some fun samples. I have lots of samples on this. So, let me clear my space here a little. Let's take a look at those applique fonts first. And here's a jumbo monogram that I did in one of our fonts. Is, all, like you said, Deborah, all 3 letters are a different color. Most certainly easy to stop between each one and select a new color, right? I don't hear Deborah, but I had a lot of fun stitching these samples with a variety of different fabrics, and they're just gorgeous, just gorgeous. And it is your fabric choice that really kind of sets the tone for your message, correct?
And I have to, Eileen, give a shout out to Vonnie Davison, who sewed some of these, who embroidered some of these. And she's not with us today, but she's going to watch on the replay.
Oh, awesome. And so here's
adorable.
I love this one, what she did here, because she used different fabrics for each letter. They're all coordinated, they're all bright, and it looks really fun, kind of like if it was a piece, part of a quilt block, right?
That's true.
But then I had the pleasure of finding a fabric. This is actually a fabric. I didn't piece all these tiny little squares and diamonds and half square triangles. This is a cheater panel, cheater fabric, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I used for my blocks. And then I also used that same fabric to make the applique for the word quilt. I mean, is that adorable? If you're a sewist and a quilter, oh, I just think that's lovely to see all those tiny little patchwork pieces in each letter. I did take the time to make sure that my patchwork, my seams were parallel with the letter, the edge of the letter. I did a pretty good job on that. So that would be the only thing that you would have to take care of, that you would have to pay attention to. So let's see, when you say fabric, is it Karen Olson is asking, when you say fabric, is it the program that creates the fabric? Well, when we say fabric, applique embroidery designs, applique fonts, stitch a placement guide on the fabric, and then you place applique fabric over that outline. The machine will stitch a tack down, then you'll trim away that excess applique fabric, reattach the hoop to the machine, and stitch the final satin outline. So that's what we mean by applique fabric when we're talking about it. The machine, of course, the software doesn't actually make the fabric. It just gives you the space and the stop so that you can add fabric.
And it does have a library of some fabric colors and type that you can superimpose over your file to see kind of what it would look like.
Right. Now, Carolyn Morrow wants to know, can you embroider designs within the applique fonts? Absolutely. You sure could. You'd have to make it big enough or use small enough designs that would fit in those letters.
I like the way Carolyn thinks.
Yeah, me too. I love that. Let's see. Okay, so, and Karen also. So, yes, you're actually using fabric. All right, what's next? Oh, these are fun. Puffy foam, right?
Right. And, it's amazing. These are hard to find, Eileen. And yet all you have to do, they do all the work for you. All you have to do is lay down the foam and let it stitch over it. And as you can see in this slide, just pull away the foam and you've got a raised letter.
Right. And here I have a kind of a baseball stitched, and then I used the letter A with the puffy foam, which you can see.
Yeah, we can see the dimension. It's really cool. Kids love this, don't they, Eileen?
Oh, absolutely. If you have a little boy who loves baseball or a little girl who loves softball or baseball, it's super fun. You can put it on the pocket of a blue jean or a bag, tote bag, backpack, you name it.
And puffy foam actually works well on towels because it holds that nap down.
Right. It sure does. Yeah. Okay. And then we have some beautiful fonts that were digitized for variegated thread. Like this font, as you can see, we have some thread buildup, right? That was digitized specifically to allow those multiple colors to build up in those open areas and, create an accent for the design. So these are just, I love these. I think they're luscious. And then we have a Mylar font that is, see how it shines? See that?
I love this one. That's one of my favorites.
I know. Every time you see a Mylar font, Deborah, that's what you say. I love that font. It is. It's really
sweet. It's rich looking, very rich looking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can help out Natalie Bush here. She's got a question. So what happens sometimes when you stitch the outline, place the fabric, stitch the notice on the final satin, it is slipped. So you've hooped the fabric on cotton, on poly mesh. Oops, project start over. Do you have any ideas? The actual stitch down was correct and hoop not moved. Well, first off, this happens to everybody, Natalie, at some point, right? And it doesn't mean you did anything wrong specifically. So we don't really know why it happened, but things like this do occur. You can turn around.
Well, and I just want to mention, Natalie, that one thing I see, and it may or may not have contributed, but if you are doing a cotton, like a woven, like a dish towel, a quilting cotton, and so forth, you're going to get less pull on the fabric if you use, actually, believe it or not, a tearaway. So I'm going to recommend that. But also, I'm going to recommend that a lot of purchased applique designs really don't have wide enough a stitch, and that's why I love that. I use that pull compensation feature on that purchased 1-year-old birthday design. I added 30% to it because it just wasn't enough to catch it, Eileen.
Right. And so if this does happen, Natalie, you have some options, right? We sell a stitch ripper, which is a mechanical device that allows you to remove all those stitches, which you could do. You could use a regular seam ripper. You could throw it away, or you could just place another piece of applique fabric over the one that you just stitched and stitch the tack down again and stitch the satin.
Good point. Good suggestion, Eileen. Yeah, to save that project. Absolutely.
Yes. Nobody will know. And hopefully it's not so dense originally, that it'll create a new problem. But, you'd be surprised. You can stitch over satins twice without a lot of problem. Right, Deborah?
I do it all the time.
Yeah, right. More often than we want to admit. And you could also, maybe float a piece of additional stabilizer under your hoop while you're doing that second
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Just set yourself up for success. Yeah. And Natalie Bush says, yes, she has that wonderful steam ripper. Yep, me too. Stitch ripper, me too. So, it's like insurance. You're glad you have it when you need it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, text and monogram designs. Of course, that's a big part of lettering.
It sure is. And we love to create monograms. They're great gifts, right? So many reasons to do monograms. And a lot of times, so even little kids' clothing, we don't want to put their name on it, right, Eileen?
Right.
So monograms are great for that. They're great for all kind of linens and many other things, And so when we're making monograms, let's think about the text we're using. So look over here on the left side, we've got examples of I, J, and T. But let me tell you, that first letter, that top letter on the left, what does that really look like? Come on. Looks like a lowercase g.
Yeah.
Okay. And that J in the middle, to me, is an I. Because if you look over on the right side of the screen, I want my J's to have the tail cross over the body of the letter. That's just me.
But you know what? Her last name is Jones. So
right.
Your opinion about the letter J is pretty important.
Right. And, I think that T, again, looks like a G. It's very important. Now, those are perfectly fine letters in a name. But as a standalone, they are not really suitable. The ones on the left are not really suitable, in my opinion, as another character that would look more readily identifiable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great point. So many people struggle with this. And the letter S, which is one of my favorite letters. It's a beautiful letter.
Except unless it is made in kind of an old style, right, Eileen?
That's what I like, yeah.
This one on the left is an older style script, which is lovely and graceful, but it doesn't look like an S. And if I were to do that on someone's gift, they might be a little taken aback, because people expect an S to look like are the ones on the right, which any of those are lovely to me. It's all a matter of taste, but that one in the center, boy, that's got a lot of movement, doesn't it, Eileen?
Yes, it looks very modern. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, before we move on, so Jan had a question and Chris Kavanaugh is answering it. And so I think Jan's question was, can you launder a t-shirt that has Mylar on it? And Chris says, yes, that you can, because she's done a lot of Mylar, and we've learned that you most certainly can, right, Deborah?
Absolutely. In fact, interesting fact about Mylar is that sparkle is impregnated in the material. It doesn't wash off. It doesn't diminish over time. So it's a great addition to your letters or any design, as you know. But you do need to be more careful with dry cleaning, because some chemicals could react to. But washing, drying, no problem.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so monogram frames are so popular, and there are tons of choices in word art and stitches, right?
Right. In fact, it's hard to choose, but these are pretty ones here.
Yes. Okay, so let's take a look at this video. Deborah, you'll walk us through this, right?
Right. This one looks like it's going to give you the library of the frames that you have to choose from in word art. So gives you a lot of good ideas. You can choose this one's kind of a oval, enclosed oval shape, and beautiful, nice, probably 4mm satin stitches, and you can add to this just anything you want to add, lettering. These are stamps that are built in as well. That's a little library of kind of tourist destination type stamps. And I'm not sure where it goes from here.
Yeah, I think that might be it. So, okay, let's take a look at some beautiful samples, because we sure have them. So let me bring in that board. Some of the frames that we talked about. Let's go ahead and get a look. Look at these gorgeous frames. Now, these are so delicate. This beautiful light blue. I wonder if you can really see just how lovely this is. It has a curvy satin on the outside. And so
we're kind of looking at that upside down, I think.
You are?
Well, I think.
Oh, yes, you are. Pardon me. Thank you. There we go. That's better. But isn't that gorgeous? All those little swirls. And so that's VS, right, is our monogram. And let's take a look at each one. This I love. Looks like an old timepiece. Would you agree?
I love it too. Yeah, it looks like a watch.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. And it's 3 colors. It has that navy, the light blue, and a little bit of king star touch we added in there. It's just so beautiful. And here's kind of a masculine look, I think. It looks like stained glass, but this would be a lovely gift for a man, right?
Absolutely. Very nice.
This is an Art Deco frame that has 2 colors again, just those narrow, skinny little satin vertical stripes with a red dot at each end. And, that red dot pulls in the monogram itself. Just lovely. That's one of my favorites. They're the same. And then, we get a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. Now, we use King Star for both the gold and the silver. And this, I would say, is, again, a kind of an Art Deco look. Would you agree, Deborah?
Yes, absolutely. I love Art Deco.
And, they're not connected, right? This kind of triangular shape at the top and the square or rectangle here, they're not connected. But, it gives the illusion of a big design. And, of course, those beautiful letters inside. Now, here we have a little bit of scroll work. And the letter actually flanks right over the satin. And it is actually stitched right on there. So for our friend who, we advised if, just stitch right on top of the mistake, that's what's happening here. You most certainly layer satins quite a bit. And then here's a basic, but, this frame, you can make that frame fit almost any
Yeah,
letter that you
yeah,
have.
that's really cool. It's to the shape of the letters. Love it.
Yeah. And so Sharon Crean, she says, where did the frames come from? All of these frames, everything we're showing you is built into Word Art and Stitches. They're all there already. So beautiful samples of frames. And, you know, lots of traditional, some Art Deco. It's fun stuff, right?
Absolutely, absolutely love all of those samples. We like to look at the beautiful stitched out results of
Yeah.
what we can do in the software. So circle and path text, Eileen, is a unique feature.
Mhm. So fun. I mean, look at the creativity here. That once upon a time in a land far away. So that's featuring a couple things, right? We have the text on the path. It also has the storybook feature where you enlarge the first letter of the line, like many storybooks, you know, in the past, right? And then circle text. This one goes all the way around, but it doesn't have to. Earlier, you showed us on Woodhaven how you just placed that on the bottom of the arc.
Right, right. So you can do it full circle or top only, bottom only. And that drop cap is what we call that enlarged letter on the once upon a time on the right side. You know, you could do that with your software, even if you don't use an ornate character like this, but it's really cool in this instance to have that ornate character to choose from.
Absolutely. So I do have a fun sample to show about text on path and some arcing. Okay. Oh, and shapes, which we didn't get to earlier. So but let's show this. So patches often feature arced lettering, right, Deborah?
Oh, yes. In fact, that is a very typical patch for, you know, a high school band or jacket of any group in a school group. Sure, it's very nicely done.
And you know, Word Art and Stitches gives you the total control. Like you could fit that to any shape arc. This happens to be a true half circle, but if it was a half oval, you know, depending on whatever your shape is, you'd be able to customize that lettering for it. So here's a fun project from a few years ago. And one of my favorite things, and we have several things going on here. So we have shaped lettering. Scoops is shaped. The upper portion of the word is shaped so that it mimics the top of the roof, right? But over here at order pickup, now that's text on a path. And you know, you just type your text in a straight line like normal, and then you go into the software and edit the baseline, and you can move that text in any shape that you want. But I just thought that was so much fun to do.
Very cute.
Right? Like you would really see on a neon sign, right?
Right. I love that. Well, I love that whole sample, but all of the lettering on there is very clean. You've got the shaped lettering on Scoop. You've got the text on Path on the order pickup.
Right, for sure. And all of the fonts can be italicized just with the click of a button. So like here we have Home of the Giant Cone. It's not a separate font. It's just, you know, I could click on italic and it turns it into that. Pretty fun. Okay, so let me see where we go next with this. Oh, we do have a video. So let's go ahead and watch. This is the Walleye Warrior, Deborah, I think.
Oh, so this one is actually circle text, and it really shows how graphically, how visually, I should say, the graphics work on the circular text. We used to have to come up with number formulas to do text like this. Now we just have to say, hey, it's a circle, and hit apply, and it brings it in automatically, and we can then adjust it. We can change, you see, the flatness or steepness of the arc. We can also change the size. It changes the size of the letters as well if you choose that handle. So then we just move it into position and boom, it is done. So that used to take 15 minutes or more to get right in circular lettering, and you couldn't do both upper and lower at the same time. So super, super easy.
That's great. That is just great. I love it. Okay, so let's see. Resize and merge expanded designs. Now, this is a feature that we use all the time in software, right,
And
Deborah?
what do we mean by expanded design? This actually is, if you were to, I'm just trying to see if I can read it at the top, if it tells me the format, but in the name of the design. But in any case, even a PES file or a VIP file, that's what we mean by an expanded design. It's a design that's ready to go to the machine and stitch. So this simple fill design, we're just going to resize it. We select the whole thing by drawing a box around it. We grab that corner handle, and I'm free resizing it. I'm just pushing it in, and I'm doing that with the cursor and making it fit, let's say, in a 4-inch square. And the size display changes in real time, so you know when to let go of the cursor, and the size is displayed at the top, the new size. So, and the new stitch count. Now, you can also type in a measurement. So this is important. Like if you're doing quilt squares, for example, you can go to transform and just say, hey, I want them all to be no bigger than 3.5 inches. And you see how it resized that to do that. Now here I'm going to do it disproportionately to make it 3.5 by 3.5. And on this design, that's okay. It's a perfect, and you see it has regenerated those stitches each time to be correct for the new size at the original density. Okay, so it's not packing more stitches into a smaller area, Eileen.
Right. So that's very important. As you know, you work with embroidery and you resize and you're disappointed in that new size. It's probably because however you resized it doesn't have the ability to add stitches when you enlarge it, or to shrink or to pull out stitches when you shrink it. So that's pretty important. Okay. I don't know what we have here. Let's see what we have here, Deborah.
I don't either, but we'll all have a surprise. Oh, yeah. I think this is merging. This is a little birdhouse, and we're going to merge a bird into it and bring in this little bird with the envelope, and we're going to mirror image that bird, just transform and hit. Well, first we're going to resize it so it looks like, flip horizontal, okay. And it's going to look like it's delivering the mail to the birdhouse, and then we resize it to be appropriate. And this is a simple design. So that was a pretty big resizing, but it works okay because this is a pretty simple little design.
Right. Very nice. Okay, so if you want more information about software, our event and education director, Ashley Jones, will be here on April 18th. That's a Tuesday. You know, she does this on the first and third Tuesday of the month, and she dives really deep into software. And boy, she is a wizard, right?
Right. And also, Eileen, you know, our Facebook group on software is a great place because we had a lot of questions we couldn't get to in here. So you can go to that Facebook group, which is moderated by Ashley, and our other educators keep tabs on it too. And if they have a specific question about something they saw today, they can ask it there, right?
Absolutely. And Patricia Davis asked, is push and pull compensation automatic? Absolutely, it's automatic, but you can override it if so desired, which is important. I mean, you want the freedom to do that for sure.
Right.
And let's see, Joyce Leary wants to know, can you look at previous software lessons? Absolutely. Ashley, and Robin says Ashley is the best. She most certainly is the best. So all of her lives are still on our Facebook page, and you can watch them at any time. And of course, you're going to get so much information in the group, in the Inspired by Dimes software group, right, Deborah?
I love that group. You know, that group is full of all different levels of embroiderers and all different levels of software users. So you can ask any question and you might get answered by a user, you might get answered by Ashley, but you will find someone who knows the answer over there.
That's right. So we hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our Facebook. Like us on Facebook, because we know that you don't want to miss an episode of Between Friends or Software Success. So here's how you can stay notified. Just bear with us.
In this video, we'll show you how to subscribe to a YouTube channel and follow a Facebook page through your phone. Let's start with YouTube. First, open your YouTube app on your phone. Once you're on your home page, search for the Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. Click on it and go to the channel page. Once on the channel page, click the subscribe button. And that's it. You're now subscribed to the channel. Now, let's move on to Facebook. First, open your Facebook app. Once on your home page, search for Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. Once on the profile page, click the three dots and select the follow button. And that's it. You're now following the page. Thanks for watching.
Deborah, it's almost time for the mega giveaway. I just want to remind everybody that, this is a 6-week program, so you can win every week. You can enter once a day. So go to our website and do that for sure. But before we reveal who the winner is, and we're going to do that in just a moment. Well, next week is all about patches and applique, and that will be the giveaway next week. And we'll announce that on the 20th. But this week we have the on the house bride and groom toasting, right?
Yeah, and that's a totally free design. Anyone can go download that at our website. And this whole month is wedding themed designs, and they are all this couple, and they're adorable. And these are Mylar designs, by the way.
They're adorable. They're so lovely. And Deborah, thank you so much from everybody here at Diamond. I know all of our viewers for leading this whole on the house program. You pick the designs, you work with the digitizers, you make sure this all happens. And so thank you so much for doing that.
It's fun.
It is fun. So without further ado, I think it's time now to find out who wins Hoop Mat Stable Cut Dispenser and those 4 stabilizers. So the winner is Donna Gearing. Isn't that wonderful? So Donna, if you're here, congratulations. If you're not, you will be reaching out to you so that we can ship this product to you. And we hope another one of you is a winner next week. Or you too, Donna. It's okay if you win twice in a row. We can't control that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great prize too. It has some of my favorite stabilizers in the prize today. That great Fuse Me adhesive sew and wash, and it's great. A great prize. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Donna. And of course, our special today is that stable cut dispenser. So if you're not Donna Gearing and you didn't win one, you can take advantage of this special price, and I hope you do that. Well, Deborah, thank you, my dear friend, for joining me today. It's always so fun to have you here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And I love going over these ideas on lettering because I get to see all your beautiful samples.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it takes a village to do all this, right?
Right.
All right. Everybody, you have a great week, and we'll see you here next week. You can catch Ashley on Tuesday, and I'll be back on Thursday. Thank you for joining us today.